Hey everyone, welcome to a Render Spaz video tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to show you how you can create Shag rug for your architectural renders in 3D Studio Max and Iray. And the result that we have here turned out very nice. And I'm just going to go through the steps and show you guys how I've created this. Which is actually, this is pretty simple. So there's not too much to it. And what's cool about it, if you're using, well, I'm using Max 2015, and the Iray works flawless with Max 2015. So I don't know about any of the older versions how this is going to turn out, 2014 and lower. But I know that for 2015, this is working quite nice. So you can follow along in this tutorial by just grabbing these objects that I'm going to use here. I've set up a quick scene just to show you guys for architectural renders that you can pull off some pretty cool looking rugs. Okay, so let's get to it and I'll show you how this process was done. So what I went for here was I wanted to create a carpet and an exterior or interior scene, sorry. And this would give me a cool effect that you see where the light comes in and hits the carpet. And I kind of want to just pull something off in this scene. So I have a simple setup, threw a chair in there, and then what I've done was I've added in a plane, which you can go over your standard primitive, and you can hit plane here and you can drag out a plane, okay? So what I've done was dragged it out into a rough size here from the length to width, and then I just dragged it up in Z until it was just above our floor surface. Okay, I think that's all we need. We don't really need to have any segments in this, so we can get away with just with this, okay? So then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our modifier stack, and as we come down, you're going to see there's a hair and fur modifier. This has been with Max for quite some time, but it's great because now we can use this with Iray. And it really, really does well with it. I'm very impressed with it. So once you hit the hair and fur modifier, you should already see hair strands coming up, and they're going to look really high, like this. So it looks like it's in a grass field. So if I was to render this right now, we pretty much know what kind of result we're going to get. Okay, so as you can see, our strands are very high in the carpet, and this is one wild-looking rug. Okay, not carpet, but the rug, sorry. And you can see that it's just extremely high here. So we need to do some tweaks. Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, you can probably get away with making some cool-looking grass or something with this, but it's not what this tutorial's about. So what we want to do is change our strands a bit, and we want to modify them so they actually look a little bit more like a shagged rug. So we needed to have it more like a curl to these guys. Obviously the size has to come down, but then we want it to be more curled, and they have a little bit of a frizz to them, and they just look a little bit more like they're threads, or if it's like a, you know, something more like a wool or something. Okay, so let's dive into the properties here and start to change what we're seeing here. Okay, so I'm going to go over to we're going to look at the general parameters here. Okay, and as we can see right now, we're going to start off with the hair segments. Now, the more hair segments that we have, okay, the more detailed this is going to become. So as you can see, the strand has a lot of little edges to it. So as you can see, they're kind of straight. So as we go to 8, everything gets a little bit smoother. So if we go to 2, you know, you can see that everything just kind of, we lose the curl only because we are moving our segments around. So go back to 8 for now, and I'll give us that curl again. All right, and we're going to head down, and we're going to change our scale to about 10, I'll say 10.5 or so. All right, so that's the length that we want our strands to be. All right, somewhere around there. Maybe, yeah. I don't know, I just put in some numbers here, and that's kind of the height I want these guys to go. But what we have to do now is we have to change. Right now, our rand scale has to come down. Okay, and you can see what that's doing. So as I bring this down, we'll bring these guys back up a little bit, and now it's going to give me some more curve as I start to still come down towards these properties and start editing them. The curl will have more effect. Okay, so we'll keep the rand scale down at 0. We're going to move in and we'll change the root thickness here to about 7. Okay. 7.2. Tip thickness, we'll leave that at 0. All right. And that should work for that. So what we'll do is we'll go to our flyaway, okay, and we're going to move this percentage up to 100%. Okay. And the strength we'll put to 6. Okay, that's going to curl the tips. Okay, so as you move these around, you can see you're getting, actually you can bring this up to 1 and you can get some different looks as well. But I'm going to go to 0.26. Right, and that's good for that. And then the next step we're looking at here is, I'm just going to, all right, so we're going to go over to our frizz parameters here. And we're just going to make sure that we put that to 0. All right, and then we have our kink. So our kink is where everything gets interesting. These strands will start to change. So as we move these around, we're starting to see we're getting some, it just has more of a weave to them. So what we're going to do is we'll go to 0.87 or so, 0.8. Okay. And then pretty much that's all there is to it. If we were to render this right now, you're going to see this is looking pretty good. Now, we do have to adjust a couple more things here, because if you look, we can see the tips here are just, they're like almost like tubes. Here we go. Here's an example here. Okay, you can see there's pretty much no end to this, so it just kind of looks like tubes. So we don't want that. That's not looking realistic, but we're almost there. You can see the nice variation of how these strands are bending, and some of them are a little bit laying down. Some are bent up, and it looks messy. It just looks very, very much like a shag carpet. Okay, so we just need to fix our tips. So what we'll do here is we'll go up to our hair segment, put that up to 16. Okay, so that's going to give us some more detail here. Okay, so once they're at 16, we can now, we'll have a lot more res here, and that will fix a lot of our tube issues and problems. But now what we got to do is we have to change our hair count. So we're going to bring that up to 15,000, and that's going to give us a lot more. Now you just got to be careful, because if you crank this up too high, you're gonna start having a lot of memory issues. You might have a crash. So just be cautious when you do move this number up. Okay, so I like about 1,500 or 15,000 about now, and this should give us some quite good looking results. So as you can see, we have a very nice looking carpet. Okay, not carpet, but a shag rug, and it works very nice. But now we need to add a material to this guy, which is going to give us the some variations. Okay, you can still see that we do run in a little bit of some clipping here of the tips. But you know what? It's not going to look that bad once you put some material on this. It's really a minor issue. But if you play with some of the settings, you might be able to get that to go away even more. But I am very satisfied of what I have here. So let's get into the materials section of this. So what we're going to do is we'll bring up our material editor, and we're going to use a I was almost going to say V-Ray. This is an Iray material. Okay, so let's go to Iray, and let's go to our, let's make sure we don't have any reflective coating on. We don't need that. Let's just drag this in and right onto the plane. That's all you have to do. You can ignore the color that you have. That's just pretty much the material parameters here. This has nothing really, at this point, has nothing to do with the Iray. Okay, so if you want, you can change the color of this all you want, but it's not going to affect our render. Okay, so we're going to go in and we're going to apply a diffuse texture map, and that's going to give us some pattern, because right now we can say, well, give me a red carpet. Okay, we can just kind of go like this. Sure, you can get away with doing this. Okay, so if I hit render right now, okay, you get a nice red carpet. Very nice. Actually, this is pretty cool, but I want to get some pattern into this guy so that we can start seeing some breakup. Okay, so we can do that with a texture, a diffuse texture here, a bitmap. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, so I just added it. Okay, what the image looks like here, just to show you guys. Okay, so we're gonna apply this pattern to our rug. So we'll use, I have to make sure we get rid of the red. We'll drag this guy down from the material slot into the glossy. We'll use it as, yep, we'll go with the copy. Okay, it's gonna ignore this red color now. All right, and then what we need to do is we can turn this off for a minute, and we're going to go in and use a UVW map. Turn on our texture so we can see how our pattern is going to be laid out. I'm going to turn on my angle snap here and rotate. Okay, we're going to do 90 degrees, and you can move this around. Okay, to your liking. So say I just want a little bit of a color breakup like this. Okay, this is going to be a little bit different than the rendered image that you see at the beginning of this tutorial, but this is the same texture. I've just got it in a different position here. But you can just imagine what this is going to do. So we're going to make sure that it's, yes, it's on the glossy so that this is all together. Once we hit render, I'm going to pause this for a second. Before I get into that, I got to get our hair and fur back on. Render that. Pause. And there you have it. So now what it's done is took the textured bitmap and just mapped it onto all our pretty much the strands of fur. And now it's created a nice, cool-looking carpet. So you can get away with all sorts of designs. You want to create your own designs for the carpets. You can do that, and it will take in the pattern. So another thing that we're going to have to do is we can also apply a noise map and that will give us some breakup into these strands, and that will it will almost give us like a thread kind of look to them. It'll break them up so they're just not completely diffused here. So we're going to get some breakup, okay? So what I'm going to do is let's go. I can try leaving this on. Hopefully we don't get any freezing or any memory issues here. But if I go over to our base layer and where our bump map is, we want to apply. Just got to bring that back to the screen here. Whoa. We're going to go for a noise map here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down to 0.1, and we'll put it on fractal noise type, okay? And then the whole thing that is going to work well with this is by cranking up our bump map to about, let's see, we're going to do it around, I would say down about 10. Okay, so if we put it to 10, I don't know if we're going to see the changes here. We might just have to, like I said, we could run into some issues here. Alright, so yes, we had a crash. So what we're going to make sure is that we don't go too extreme with the material settings when the active shade's on. Sometimes that just happens. Not a big deal, but just got to be aware of that. Okay, and make sure you save often. So now that we have the noise, this is going to create some nice breakup into the strands. So it's just going to give us a little bit more realism. I don't know if you guys can see that on your screen, but I notice a major difference, and you can see the breakup actually in here. You can see where there's missing areas, and that just helps for the detail. So if you want to do some close-up shots of this, it will work quite nicely, and you'll have a nice looking shag rug. All right, guys, well, I hope you guys learned something from this, and you can create your own shag rugs with Iray and 3D Studio Max for your architectural renders or whatever it may be. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. You learned something from it. Go make some good, cool, fancy rugs, and feel free, guys, to leave a comment below, and check out more of my tutorials at www.renderspaz.com, and we'll see you again with another tutorial. Catch you later, guys.